Y'all didn't think I was gonna forget about Pride Month, did ya? So it's June. June is Pride Month, so I'm going to bake y'all some rainbow bagels. I've never made bagels before, and I know I am late to the rainbow bagel trend. I know this, but I've always wanted to make them, and I've never just kind of had the motivation to do it. And I was like, you know what? Pride Month, let's do it. Perfect, rainbow bagels, let's go. All right, let's just jump right into it. I got this recipe from the amazing Aki blog. I will link it down below. And for this recipe, you are going to need 3 cups of all-purpose or bread flour, a teaspoon of sugar, a teaspoon and a quarter of salt, a teaspoon and a half of instant yeast, 3/4 cups of cold water, and a whole rainbow of gel food coloring. So what I like about this recipe is that the ingredients are pretty simple and fairly common, aside from the yeast, which, you know, it's coming back. It's coming back to the store. My mom managed to find some. Thanks, Mom. But where this recipe is gonna get a little complicated, a little dangerous, and very stressful for me is what we have going on behind me right here. I'm gonna point to it. It's the pot. It's the pot. It's the pot. I'll explain later. Stay tuned. But for now, we have to make our base dough. I really think I must have taken some forget how to talk pills this morning because I've had to go through more takes on this video than all of my last one combined. Anyway, we're using instant yeast. Why are we using instant yeast? Because that's all they had in the grocery store. That's what this recipe calls for. What's the difference between an instant yeast and an active dry yeast? Instant yeast does not need to be activated in warm water and sugar before adding it to the recipe. It can just be tossed into your mixing bowl with everything else. That's what we're gonna do. Everything, all those ingredients I named, except the food coloring, gonna go in our mixer and we're gonna mix it up. All right, I already got my 3 cups of flour sifted in my mixing bowl, ready to go. To that, I'm gonna add my cold water, my salt for flavor, my sugar to help feed the yeast, and then my yeast. So the yeast packet comes with 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. The recipe only calls for 1.5 teaspoons. So unfortunately, I'm gonna be wasting some of this yeast, which I feel really bad about, but what are you gonna do? So we're gonna add those together and then I'm gonna turn on my mixer. I can't find my teaspoon. It's just gone. It's just gone. I have my 1/4 teaspoon. I have all his friends. All his friends are here. I can't find just a teaspoon. You know what? I'm gonna use the halfy twice is what I'm gonna do. That's what's happening. Improvise, adapt, improvise. I had put it away. This is why I am the way I am, you guys. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm kind of a messy person, and that's because I'm very out of sight, out of mind. The second I put something away, it's gone. It's gone. It's like a baby, like, you know, no object memory, it's gone. So my 1.5 teaspoons of yeast is in there. I think I said 1.25 teaspoons earlier, but actually it's 1.5 teaspoons. So it's in there, so we're gonna start mixing her up. So I have my mixer going with the dough hook on. We're gonna leave that running for about 10 minutes. And what that's doing is it's kneading the dough for me. I might take it out and knead it a little bit by hand myself, but whatever. So the reason you wanna knead any type of bread dough is because you're developing the gluten in the flour. Anytime flour comes in contact with liquid, such as water, it starts to develop gluten-protein bonds. And kneading kind of helps develop those more, and it's what gives bread its texture. It's also the reason why I'm always cautioning you guys not to over mix cake or cookies, because the more you mix flour and water, the more kind of structure you're building, and it's gonna make your cakes a little bready, a little tough, which you don't want in a cake, but you kind of want in the bread. Kneading has nothing to do with yeast. Yeast is gonna come in later. Yeast's time to shine is gonna be in a little bit, and we're gonna get to that. So I didn't like the job my mixer was doing, so I rolled it out on the counter, and I'm just gonna do the rest by hand. All right, I feel pretty good about that. See, I'm hitting it, and it's bouncing back. Get closer to the camera. I'm poking it, it's bouncing right back. That's a good sign that she's ready to go. So we're gonna let this sit in a warm place for an hour to rise. See you then. So remember when I said the yeast is gonna have its time to shine? That's what's happening right now. So what's happening now with our dough set aside over here in the bowl with a damp paper towel on top is this is how the dough is rising, also called proving. Called proving because you're proving the yeast is working. So the yeast is pretty much kind of activating and creating little air bubbles and rising. And that's what the yeast is doing, and that's what's happening right now. All right, it's been an hour. Let's check on our dough. It's gotten a little bigger. I mean, it's a very dense dough, so I don't know how much it would have risen. Let's take this over to the counter and get working. All right, so we have our slightly risen dough ball here. So we're just gonna gently push out some of the extra air. Okay, and then we're gonna divide it into 6 equal portions and dye it with our gel-based food colorings. The recipe recommended using gloves to add the food coloring because I have to mix it in with my hands, but because of Miss Rona, I don't have any gloves. So we're just gonna see what this does to my hands. It's not working. I have no idea. We're gonna pivot. Okay, so you'd think that I'd research things more, but I didn't. Okay, so first recipe didn't work. So let's just go over some of the reasons why I think it didn't work. Number one, I don't think there was enough liquid in the dough. Straight up, it was too stiff. It was very stiff. I went through and I watched a bunch more videos of rainbow bagels. The dough looks a little bit more slack. Number two, the food coloring has to be mixed in with the water at the very first stage. Also, the water should have been warm. Cold water and yeast don't mix. So that means I have to make 6 separate dough balls now, and I gotta use a different recipe because that last one I used didn't work. So I looked at the Nerdy Nummies, good old Ro Passino, love her. I'm gonna use her recipe, but I'm gonna modify it. I'm gonna do half batches, and I don't have barley malt syrup, so I'm not gonna use it. So we're just gonna see what happens. Also, Ro's recipe calls for active dry yeast. Again, I have instant yeast, so we'll see. Straight out the gate, not doing well on take 2. Said I was gonna have to add the food coloring to the water, then forgot to do it and had to improvise on the first color. So it's just, I've been at this since 11 o'clock. It's now 3:30 and I This is the fucking worst. At least I had the Real Housewives of New York to keep me company. We got dough ball ready. We got dough ball number 1 ready to go. So I'm gonna put this in a greased bowl. I'm gonna cover it with plastic wrap. I'm gonna put them in the fridge for now. I'm gonna put all of my dough balls in the fridge as I finish them because I want them to all prove at the same time. So until they're all done, they're all gonna go in the fridge, and the fridge basically just stops the yeast from rising. So that's what's happening next. I got orange in the mixer, yellow's done, let's keep moving. And orange is in the mixer, where's gonna have the orange? Orange is done, pink is in the mixer. My hands look like I slapped Donald Trump. We got pink done, and we got purple in the mixer. I'm sweating, you guys. I'm really sweating over here. We got purple. Blue's in the mixer. Blue is done. Green is in the mixer. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Green's done. Okay, so we got all our dough done. We're gonna let that sit out for a half an hour to prove. Looks like despite being in the fridge, some of them just went ahead and started doing their thing, but let's just let this sit out anyway. Okay, we have all our dough balls done. They are proving. It's now about 5 o'clock. Been at this since 11. Guys, don't just listen to me. Do your research. No offense to the writer of that first recipe. It just didn't work for me. Didn't work for me. But you know, I always try to push forward for you guys and just try to persevere. So hoping that the take 2 turns out well, and if it doesn't, you'll just never see this video. This video just will not see the light of day. It won't happen. So, look who came to cheer me up, because she knew that I was having a rough time with these bagels. She totally didn't come down here because it's 5 o'clock and now it's her dinner time. She came to help me make rainbow bagels. She's a good girl. She's a good little ripple. Hey, you want to watch Real Housewives of New York with me? Okay. Oh, look at that dead weight. Oh, she hates this. Okay. All of our dough is done proving. It is double in size. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna give them each a gentle punch just to get some excess air out. I cannot wait to do this. Okay, the yellow acted weird. Didn't have as much air in it. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. All right, we got a lightly floured surface here. We're just gonna roll each dough ball out into a rectangle. Okay. Lot less dough here than I thought there'd be. All right, let's just put that on our wax paper and do the rest. All right, we got our dough layered. Look how pretty she is. So we're gonna put a clean cloth over this and let it sit for another half an hour. Proof number 2. Number 2, proof. Proof, 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 proof. Who do you think's resting more, the dough or our friend, Mr. Kiney? Hi, little fella. So our dough has gone through its second rest. I've turned it out on the counter, and now we're gonna get into shaping our bagels. All right, using a sharp knife, we're gonna cut about 1.5 inch strip out of our bagel dough here. All right, gonna roll it a bit. Gonna give it a twist. Now I'm gonna wrap it around our hand. Do a little roll. Think there's too much flour. Think it's preventing it from sticking. Urgh! Oh my God! Guys, I made a bagel! I made a bagel! Please don't fall apart. All right, I'm gonna do that to the rest of them. Okay, that was a bit of a struggle, and I'm trying to make one more out of the remnants. Oh God, this one might not make it to the Instagram. This leftover guy here. Okay, oh boy, let's just hope he stays together. This one, I think I'm just gonna see if I can make a little bagel hole out of him. Let's see, put him in the middle. All right, so now, you guessed it, they're resting for another half hour under a clean cloth, because that's what we're doing today, just waiting for bagels. That's our life now. Okay, so after the bagels have rested for 20 minutes, I'm gonna get the oven preheating to 400 degrees, and I'm gonna get the water start boiling. So in Rose's recipe, she used barley malt syrup, which is pretty much what you would typically use in bagels all the time. But all of the other rainbow bagel recipes I had previously read did not call for that. I knew it was a thing that bagels needed, but I was like, guess they're omitting it for a reason. Maybe it affects the color. Apparently not, because Rose bagels look beautiful, but Rose also perfect and everything she makes turns out great. So that's what's happening next. We're just gonna be boiling these in regular water. That's what the pot's for. Remember I said the pot was gonna happen? I'm tired. So y'all really weren't lying when you said a watch pot never boils. This has been going for about 15 minutes. It's just getting some little bubbles. Our bagels are ready to go. Bagels are ready to go. So I'll show you those. Look at the bagels. Look at those bagels. All right, we got our water at a bit of a simmer. We got our bagels ready. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna boil these for 30 seconds on each side. And then once they are all done boiled, we're immediately gonna put them in our 400-degree oven for 15 minutes. Let's get going. I just wanna show you guys that the fact that these are floating means that they did prove enough. So that's what you want. If they sink, that's a bad time. That's not good, but we got some floatage, so we good. All right, these are all boiled. They're going in the oven for 15 minutes. I just wanna say real quick, while those are in the oven, boiling dough smells real weird. Okay, these are out of the oven. I'm gonna let them cool a little bit, and then I'm gonna cut them open, see if they are fully cooked. Oh. So you can see it's steaming still. I ripped open the little nub, and it looks fully baked. I mean, it's bouncing back when I press in it. It's not staying there. Ooh. It's very hot, but I can't help. I wanna taste it. I wanna taste it now. That's a fucking bagel! Hey! Hey everybody, I made bagels! I made fucking bagels! It's so good! It's got like a little crunch. Tastes like a plain bagel. Oh my god! Oh my god! No one is home. No one is home. It's just me celebrating my own success. I made bagels. I made bagels! Yeah! I'm so glad I decided to start over because it turned out so well. Okay, so I got impatient. They're still very hot, but I wanted to cut one open to make sure they were cooked all the way. It looks so good. It's bouncing back when I poke it. That's a good thing. Oh my God, I made bagels! And we are done. Okay, all right. So we had a rough start. Then we pivoted. We started over. We got through it. I'm so happy I kept going because they were so cute. They taste great, and I made fucking rainbow bagels. All right, guys. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time. Bye bye.